This one's directed by Jim Mickles, whose previous movies include Cold in July and We Are What We Are. But unlike those, which he also co-wrote, I don't think this is one of his personal passion projects. In fact, I have a feeling he was just hired to do this one, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it doesn't really feel like it fits in with the rest of his filmography. So if you're familiar with his previous work, this might feel a bit different. But anyway, this one stars Boyd Holbrook, who's probably best known from Narcos. Also sorta co-starring Bokeem Woodbine, who I absolutely loved in Fargo. And with a bit of a feature from Michael C. Hall from Dexter, among other things as well. So the core crew here is pretty solid, and it's one of the biggest reasons I wanted to see this one. And you know what? Overall, I would say that the movie as a whole is pretty solid as well. And the story starts out in 1988 with this strange event that takes place. An event that leaves a few people dead in a very odd way, and it follows the cops investigating the incident. So it starts out as almost this kinda buddy cop murder mystery thriller thing. And it doesn't mess around either, the pacing is actually really tight. Especially in the beginning, but for most of the movie as well. And I just found myself enjoying it quite a bit, having fun with it, The action was entertaining, the plot intriguing, and I really enjoyed the chemistry between the two cops. It was all just exciting and the movie was off to a very strong start. But this definitely isn't your traditional mystery thriller, because it's got a bit of a sci-fi twist to it. And for the most part, I really liked how they incorporated the sci-fi elements into it. Because it's very important to the story, essential even, but it still kept it sorta light. While the movie focused on one of the cops in particular, as he gets a bit obsessed with solving the case. And I gotta say, I loved what they did with his story arc as well. I really liked where this movie went in that regard, I thought it was great. Now when it gets to the actual details and the mechanics behind the sci-fi stuff, I was a bit less impressed. A lot of it is kept pretty vague and the rest of it felt a bit clunky, to be honest. I would have almost preferred if they wouldn't have even tried to explain it at all. The details of how it all worked, I mean, because it came across as a bit weak. I also didn't exactly love the way it wrapped everything up. I mean, it did make sense, things fit together, and I didn't necessarily have an issue with the plot itself. It was more something about how they executed it that I wasn't a huge fan of. It all just felt a bit, I don't even know, I want to say cheesy, but that's not really it. But something about the ending just didn't quite work for me. That being said, I did really like the movie overall. I thought it was a pretty solid, entertaining sci-fi thriller. But I also have to mention that the filmmaking itself didn't really blow me away. It worked, nothing stood out as being extremely poorly handled from a technical perspective. In fact, as I mentioned before, the editing and the pacing was actually quite good. But the direction and the overall production value was just sorta okay. It did its thing and it worked, but didn't really manage to impress me. So I wouldn't go as far as to call this a great movie by any means. But it was really solid and most of all entertaining, and there's quite a few things I liked about it as well. But how about it? Would I recommend it? Sure, why not? It's a pretty fun movie. So maybe give it a look. Or don't. After all, I'm not your dad. But hey, what are your thoughts on this? Have you seen it? Did you like it? Let me know. And if you enjoyed the video, maybe give it a thumbs up or sub to the channel, because that would be fantastic. And if you'd like, you can also support me on Patreon or PayPal through the links in the description. And as always, I appreciate you and thanks for watching.